What if the fascinating goose barnacle is more than just a strange sea creature clinging to rocks? With its unusual appearance and mysterious origins, this marine marvel has intrigued humans for centuries. The goose barnacle's story is full of wonder and scientific intrigue. Join me as we dive into the mystery of this remarkable creature and explore how it has shaped cultures, challenged beliefs, and continues to captivate us today. The history of the goose barnacle is deeply intertwined with myth and folklore. One of the most enduring myths surrounding this marine organism is the belief that barnacles were the eggs of wild geese. This myth was prevalent in Europe during the medieval period and persisted for centuries. According to the myth, barnacles would grow on trees or rocks along the coast. As the barnacles matured, they would hatch into geese, which would then fly off. This fantastical explanation offered an intriguing answer to the mysterious appearance of the barnacle, which seemed to grow directly from inanimate surfaces. This myth was especially significant in medieval Christianity, where fasting regulations prohibited the consumption of land animals during periods such as Lent, but allowed fish. Since barnacle geese were believed to emerge from barnacles, they were classified as fish, and their consumption was allowed during religious fasting. This belief gave rise to the tradition of eating barnacle geese during fasting periods, and it became a widespread practice in many parts of Europe, particularly in coastal regions. The myth of the barnacle goose persisted for centuries, supported by ancient scholars and religious authorities. The Venerable Bede, an Anglo-Saxon monk and historian, was one of the early figures to mention the barnacle goose in his writings. He described how the geese seemed to grow out of the barnacles, reinforcing the myth's validity. Other medieval scholars and clergy adopted similar views, contributing to the enduring belief that barnacles were somehow related to geese. The popularity of this myth was so strong that it was even referenced in several medieval texts, including the writings of Isidore of Seville, a 7th century scholar. For hundreds of years, the idea of the barnacle goose, born from barnacles, was an unquestioned fact in the minds of the general public and religious authorities alike. The myth of the barnacle goose began to unravel in the 17th century as the scientific method gained prominence in Europe. The English physician Sir Thomas Browne is credited with challenging the myth in his 1646 work, Pseudodoxia Epidemica, the Garden of Prodigies. In this text, Browne questioned the idea that barnacles were eggs of geese, instead proposing that barnacles were marine organisms, unrelated to birds. His observations were an early example of scientific skepticism and critical inquiry into long-held beliefs. Despite Browne's challenge, the myth of the barnacle goose persisted. However, in the 18th century, further developments in marine biology and natural history began to debunk the connection between barnacles and geese. Carl Linnaeus, the Swedish biologist renowned for developing the binomial nomenclature system, formally classified barnacles as marine crustaceans in his seminal work Systema Naturae, 1735. By placing barnacles within the same group as crabs and lobsters, Linnaeus conclusively separated barnacles from birds, ending the myth once and for all. While the scientific community had begun to reject the idea of the barnacle as a bird, the folklore surrounding the barnacle goose continued to hold cultural significance for some time. The myth's cultural legacy endured despite its scientific refutation. In the centuries that followed the debunking of the barnacle goose myth, the goose barnacle took on a new cultural role as a prized seafood delicacy. In coastal regions of Spain and Portugal, particularly along the Atlantic coasts of Galicia and northern Portugal, barnacles, known locally as percebes, became a sought-after food item. The barnacle's unique flavor, salty and briny, coupled with its tender texture, made it a luxury food in these regions. Harvesting goose barnacles was no easy task. These creatures thrive in difficult-to-reach locations, clinging to rocks and cliffs in the most dangerous tidal zones. Fishermen, known as perceberos, would risk their lives scaling steep cliffs and braving powerful waves to harvest the barnacles, making the process of collecting them an arduous and perilous endeavor. This dangerous harvest contributed to the high cost of goose barnacles, making them a rare treat for the wealthy and a delicacy often featured in high-end restaurants. The economic significance of barnacle harvesting grew alongside its culinary reputation. In Spain and Portugal, goose barnacles became a symbol of regional pride and culinary expertise. Today, they are still considered a luxury food item in fine dining establishments, and their high price reflects the difficulty of harvesting them. Barnacles are considered so valuable that they are often compared to truffles in the world of seafood. Beyond their culinary and economic value, goose barnacles play a crucial ecological role in marine ecosystems. As filter feeders, barnacles contribute to the health of coastal waters by removing plankton and other microscopic organisms from the water. This process helps to maintain a balanced ecosystem by regulating plankton populations and improving water quality. And that's a wrap on the incredible journey of the goose barnacle. From its mythical origins as the egg of a wild goose to its current status as a luxury seafood, this fascinating creature has captivated imaginations and shaped cultures for centuries. Whether it's its role in ancient folklore, its place in marine ecosystems, or its status as a culinary delicacy, the goose barnacle reminds us of the wonders of nature and the stories it holds. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries of the natural world.